the recognition by the leading democracy in the world of an authoritarian land grab with the change of borders by force would actually embolden other autocracies such as China, Iran. They would think that right now there are no rules of territorial integrity and sovereignty. It's very damaging.
The chief of staff to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has resigned after an anti-corruption raid on his home. Andrei Yermak had recently been appointed to lead crucial negotiations with the United States and Russia. So what impact will his departure have on the peace process and President Zelenskyy's ability to run Ukraine? Let's speak to Orysia Lutsevych, Deputy Director of the Russia and Eurasia Program at Chatham House. Orysia, welcome to the program.
Good evening. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you. First of all, I mean, Ukraine's enemies, both in the US and Russia, have long said, well, it's a hotbed of corruption, a hotbed of Nazism and all of this, which Ukraine, of course, has denied. But what does the arrest of the powerful chief of staff himself tell us?
Henry, a small correction. He hasn't been arrested.
Sorry, not arrest. I mean, yeah, the resignation.
He's not even a suspect in the case.
Yes.
I think actually to disprove all those voices who are saying that Ukraine is corrupt, the fact that we are having a high-profile investigation involving top officials, it's unseen of in Ukraine, and that the ministers already resigned. 7 people are under scrutiny, and this is just the beginning, because Ukraine cannot afford embezzlement of funds in wartime when it so strongly depends on Western assistance. It has to prove that it's transparent, and it has to prove that it's new anti-corruption agencies, which actually Putin singled out before he was invading Ukraine as an example of Western influence in Ukraine, are working. And I'm really pleased that they are investigating, and that also President Zelenskyy understood that he cannot be surrounded by people who can be suspected in corruption. And he said himself, the president does not have friends. And 2 suspects in this case have already been sanctioned in Ukraine by the National Security Council.
Nonetheless, I mean, friends or not, it damages him, doesn't it? And how is he going to go into negotiations with Trump and perhaps Putin when at the same time he's fighting fires at home? I mean, when the country is still under very serious attack.
Yes. I mean, nobody ever denied that there could be a war profiteering. Nobody wants to justify that. And it is indeed a critical moment for Zelenskyy to not only oust some people like his chief of staff, he has to show that this anti-corruption agency can work unconstrained according to the law, and that he will clean up the office, because he said it will not be just one person. They will appoint new people. And I think it's important that the government and the parliament are also doing their job, and the separation of powers is maintained even wartime, because Yermak have concentrated quite a lot of power in that position, and it's important that the balance is restored.
That's right. I'm just looking at the allegations. I mean, there's talk of a 100 million euro fraud. How much more do we know about what was suspected and in which industry?
Yes, so it's a very critical industry for Ukraine. The fraud was in the state-owned company, Energy Atom, that is managing nuclear power stations. And what was happening was there was a back office that was taking kickbacks from commercial and state contractors that were delivering all kinds of services to the Ukrainian nuclear power stations. And some of the evidence on tapes shows that they were demanding these kickbacks between 10 to 15% from companies, and even saying they're not going to build some of these protection buildings as Russians were targeting them by missiles, because they will be destroyed next day. So a lot of Ukrainians are really angry at this, because right now there's a huge energy crisis. Russia has destroyed and damaged nearly all thermal power stations in Ukraine. People have between 4 to 6 hours of electricity a day. So that is why it's so nerve-wracking for many that it is taking place in a sector that is so strategic in winter.
Right.
and for the industry.
Sure. And Orysia, just finally, I'm just looking at the news in brief on the front page of the Daily Telegraph here in the UK. And it says here, Trump to hand Putin key Ukraine territory. The United States is poised to recognise Russia's control over Crimea and other occupied Ukrainian territories to secure a deal to end the war. The Telegraph understands Trump has sent his peace envoy Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner to make the direct offer to Vladimir Putin in Moscow. If true, what would that mean?
Well, that is very bad news, not only for Ukraine, but also for Europe. The recognition by the leading democracy in the world of an authoritarian land grab with the change of borders by force would actually embolden other autocracies such as China, Iran. They would think that right now there are no rules of territorial integrity and sovereignty. It's very damaging, and this is actually something that Europeans together with Ukrainians said is a red line, that no territorial grabs should be recognized as legal territory of Russia, and they should be seen as occupied by Russia, but not as belonging to it in any legal manner.
I suppose it's one thing for the US to say they're recognising it. It's another for Ukraine to say we accept it, and the European allies too. So let's wait and see what happens next week, Orysia. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Times Radio. Orysia Lutsevych, Deputy Director of the Russia and Eurasia Program at Chatham House. And Marcus says the brave people of Ukraine are defending our freedom, and these are such difficult times. Trump and Putin are way, way more corrupt than anyone in Ukraine. Trump's cryptocurrency is an absolute disgrace, and Putin is an indicted war criminal. Thank you very much indeed.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's powerful chief of staff quit on Friday, hours after anti-corruption agencies searched his home. In a video statement, Zelenskyy announced the resignation of Andriy Yermak, who is also his top negotiator in the fraught US-backed talks to end Russia's war. Yermak's departure comes as a major probe into high-level corruption ensnared senior officials, fueling widespread public anger. The 54-year-old, who is a close friend of Zelensky's, has not been named a suspect, but politicians, including members of the president's own party, had called for his dismissal in what has been Ukraine's worst wartime political crisis. Earlier on Friday, Yermak had confirmed his apartment was being searched and said he was fully cooperating. The country's two anti-graft agencies said the searches were authorized and linked to an unspecified investigation. Zelenskyy said he would consider Yermak's replacement on Saturday.
Russia really wants Ukraine to make mistakes. There will be no mistakes on our part. Our work continues. Our struggle continues. We have no right not to see this through till the end. We have no right to retreat or to quarrel. If we lose unity, we risk losing everything. Ourselves, Ukraine, our future.
He also said Ukrainian and US officials would meet soon to discuss a deal on ending the war. Ukraine is pushing back against proposals that would force it to cede land as Russian forces grind forward along several parts of the sprawling front line. Speaking to The Atlantic magazine this week, Yermak had said no one should count on us giving up territory.